Hey, what's up? It's the Normal Playing Guy, and right, so today's video is going to be talking about why is Tech Gohan's EZ8 really that good? So it's now the 12th, and his EZA's been out for a few days, and I've been hearing is good things, and I've seen some good things. So we'll have a quick look at his EZA, see if he's really all that up to scratch, if he's as good as he seems, or if someone's just taking the mickey with items. So we'll have a look at his base, we'll have a look at his EZA, the transforms, his comparison, because we can really only compare him to this unit and how well he good in some particular scenarios. So when he first came out, Saviors in particular, as well as like Defenders of Justice, Revenge, Entrusted Will, incredible because he basically carried the entire team and still does to this day. He was very controversial because he guards all attacks unconditional and he greatly stacked attack and defense, which is insane. So, yeah, and so he's very, very good. So let's have a look. So now we go from 140% to a 3 key 158%. It's worth noticing then that one of the little niggles about this guy really was the key. So he had no key in his passive outside of Sane Lineage. What we mean is like there's no like shocking speed over in a flash, prepared for battle, nothing like that, right? So he had to build up every turn, and that literally meant the difference between supering and not supering. And so if you relied on your additionals, which is a dumb thing to do, especially with no additionals in his passive, then this would just be, I mean, you'd just be lagging behind. So, I mean, while he can greatly stack, it's just not that great. So let's have a look. Having that 3 key at the slaps in the start of the turn is really nice. 158%. So you're saying to yourself, 18% is not that great. Well, firstly, it's only the beginning. But secondly, check out his stats at 55%. Non-LRs get a boost. So he's at 10,000 defense and 18,000 attack prior to this, becoming not even 8,000 defense and just shy of 14,000 attack. So he gets a huge boost at 55%, which is great, as well as having the extra. So it's amplified. So it looks like you get an additional 58% defense and 30% damage reduction from your entry turn for one turn. So your first opener, it's designed to be a slot one unit, right? Extra defense and this. And this is just, you get that without being the first attacker, which is the best thing. You get that bar none. From your first ever turn, you get a little extra and you get the damage reduction, which is really nice. And it's unconditional as long as it's your first turn for this guy. Launches an additional attack, 70% chance to super. See, that's brilliant because this guy is based around heavily stacking. And again, he does lower attack these days. So being able to greatly stack, have a 70% chance unconditional to do another one is really, really good. Another additional attack that has another 70% to attack, starting from which you perform the third attack in battle. All right, so you do one super attack, then you do, let's see, let's say this procced. No, you wouldn't get it in one go because you'd have to do an additional normal. No, because so that would mean then by turn 3, let's say it opened up at turn 1, by turn 3, then you'd be getting that extra. So the first turn you just can't. There's not enough additionals built in. Still guards. So that would mean then you'd have a super attack. Potentially, you could quadruple super because of your hidden potential system, which could be insane. But you stand the chance of actually doing 3 super attacks, period. I mean, obviously, these will only proc if you do a super attack. But, dude, being able to triple super whilst greatly stacking is going to be insane. It's no wonder he's quite hyped. And you guard all attack. So, like, you could really throw him in harm's way. Could be really good. I'm curious to know just how much harm's way could you do. So you get an additional 58% attack within the same turn, and an additional 58% attack for 3 turns when guard is activated. That's very similar. So it's basically the same thing, but it's dialed up from 40 to 58. Only it lasts for a few extra turns. So In this particular form, so it's going to be like the recent LR EZA, that's Vegito, right? They now stack rather than raise defense for the turn, and they have additionals built in. So they are quite good in this form, where they keep stacking and they keep stacking, and they have damage reduction as well. And then all of a sudden, the Goku Vegeta combo before Vegito comes out, by the way, is just bizarre. And then this guy is going to be basically the same thing. He's good when he transforms. There's a lot more offensive viability, but like you could switch between a pure tank and a good one, it seems, and then someone who's offensively capable. So that's going to be pretty decent. So he is going to be the main choice. I mean, would you transform with him? Probably for his defensive viability, especially for Extreme Super Battle Road, some red zone stages. You're going to want him in this form, period, because he'd be nigh on indestructible, really. And it would take like Cell Max or Movie Boss Red Zone really to take him down, or maybe the Future Saga one, right? Because that is really his only nemesis. So he now lowers attack, which is really nice. So again, the teams that he can look out for, we're talking in particular Resurrected Warriors, Saviors, Defenders of Justice, and Trusted Will and Revenge. Now, I brought up Saviors in particular because they have recently just had a extreme Super Battle Road, and it is painful, extremely painful. I ran it by using a 170% Super Saiyan team, and it featured the likes of this guy, I think this guy as well, and one of these two. It might have been the physical one because I think at the end is Sin, or is it Freezer? I can't. It might be Freezer, but he's in. So I ran him, and there was a few other decent options as well. So I had Pycon as well because he could dodge and give extra support. So again, like that's brilliant. But like recently, we've had these. Well, actually, most of this top row. I mean, these two are World Tournament Easy A's. This is a Type Unit Easy A, but really, and so is this. But in particular, Gotenks has an incredible amount of dodge and would be extremely useful in this. And Gohan now is eked up a bit more. Now, I'm not saying you could crush the Savior's Extreme Super Battle Road because just like having this unit alone or even these two, you still got the rest of the team to compensate. But like the presence will be much more impacted because it is such a painful experience, and as well, we've also talking like Defenders of Justice is also extremely gnarly. Revenge as well is painful on Extreme Super Battle Road. So again, having him, he will be able to absorb a huge amount of blows. Now remember, his start of turn defense is not going to be that fantastic, even with the damage reduction. So items would still be a play. I reckon after his first go, where he's had this, and then maybe his third one after his second rotation, potentially the third rotation of the game, then there's this which kicks in. So by his third rotation or the fifth in the game, that's where things should start look good, but that's perhaps a bit too long. Like you'd have to pop items to keep you alive on the other rotations because Extreme Super Battle Road can still hurt. If you're facing multiple enemies, they can still fling super attacks. While they do less damage than, say, 1, 2, or 3 people, they could still fling super attacks at you, and he will not survive. He needs to get a few stacks in. And again, it's not as if you could, like if these two proc, or rather if this one plus your hidden potential system proc, you could potentially survive. But I reckon it's going to take a few rotations to build up, a few rotations of these two to really get somewhere. But he's still going to be powerful, if not carrying the entire thing, which is really nice. Another teams he could be good for would be Hybrid, Rapid Growth, Power of Wishes, Sibling Bond. These are the ones that could be really nice. And a nice addition to Margin Boot Saga, because he has the stuff like Saiyan Lineage and Power Bestowed by God, which is really nice for a Margin Boot Saga. In this particular form, his transform state. The other Ultimate Gohan, he is pretty decent. There's a few, I mean, like this guy actually, Future Gohan, he is a beast, especially when he transforms. Very similar, like this guy can be defensive, but then like he massively raises attack, and so he becomes offensive, right? So when he transforms, which is insane. Another option for Piccolo, that's great, but mainly in particular, we're looking at these links. So when we check out his best one here, So yes, we have. Oh, in fact, there's no key links in this. Oh, that's actually pretty bad. We checked this guy out, and there's a key link, but it's in the same lineage, but there's no other key links. You check out like Piccolo, who's the only other non-Gohan first to come in, and there's no key links. Period. So you could say Super Saiyan 3 Goku. There is Saiyan lineage. You can get that, which is not so bad. And again, Saiyan lineage. But again, relying on that and the rest of the people who have other key links, and you just shot yourself in the foot. But again, it's now compensated. Right, so we do now have. So let's see what this can do. So from the 5th turn, you can pop this guy, and then out he comes. So it's going to be 3 key, 258%, and still guards. So what did he have before? 3 key built in. So he is basically this when he starts. Not on his Easy 8, which is nice. What's cool about when he transforms, unlike, say, Tech Janemba, who loses guard and damage reduction, this guy doesn't. He can be super excellent. He employs the super excellent effect against one enemy against if there's a Margin Buu saga, etc., which is really nice. And he does greatly raise attack for the turn with a chance to stun. But now we have a 70% chance to stun, greatly raised defense as well for multiple turns. And we have 3 key to 58%. And bear in mind, you'd have been stacking multiple times, greatly stacking as well. You're still guaranteed an additional super attack, which means that you'll constantly sit around this for 2 turns. So that is a 3-turn buff. So it keeps going for 3 turns. If you do multiple in a turn, then that just means you just get it quicker. So you're going to be sitting around, 2 of them, which is going to be really nice. Remember, it's a 50% raise, and then it's another 50% raise on top of that new value. That's what makes that good. A nice attack and applies the super excellent effect when the turn is guarded. Right, okay, so basically you become super effective against all types, buff to attack and guard. Now you've changed it from attack to guaranteed crits. Guaranteed crits against an enemy who's under a certain HP, or when there's a Buu saga enemy, good or evil, it doesn't matter. So one enemy under a certain amount where you can finish them off. But the fact that you can have a bonus to attack and then for the most part guaranteed crits is insane. Links don't seem to change that much. Why would they? Oh, he does. Sorry, tell a lie. He does actually have shocking speed. Okay, in this form, shocking speed comes around and then he's definitely not going to be struggling. So of course, the first and best counterpart will be this guy, where suddenly we get like shocking speed to come in all in the family, which is really nice defensive buff. And these 2 units will work together, right? So that's actually not too shabby. And even this Ultimate Gohan will actually come out to play a little bit. So that's really good. So you don't really struggle with key per se at the beginning unless you really do end up having a really wonky team. So that's good. So compared to this guy, how does he fare? Well, in terms of leader skill, you got to give it to this guy because he's also a hybrid Saiyans. Yeah, Saviors is a bit wonky, and it's now a full 170, including HP. But I'd still say superheroes or hybrid with these 2 as well. He is definitely by far the better one. Of course, he probably hits pound for pound a lot harder. That's because he has, even at 55%, way higher attack stats, so that's fine. That being said, it's only going to be pound for pound more after only for the first rotation, because seriously, with him coming in at 10,000 defense, and then you do a couple of stacks, a couple of rotations, you're going to outperform this guy, because this guy gets 30% with each super attack performed, but Gohan's defense will give you 50% per super attack performed. So he's gonna outpower you defensively, probably even straight off the bat even. But no doubt offensively, this guy will be pound for pound better until you've stacked quite a bit. As I say, the LR attack stats are going to be indeed that way. But defensively, this guy can drop off. I mean, this guy does also have guard. If he has guard, it is for 3 turns. So, I mean, that's fine. the downside is he has an additional attack that has a great chance to become a super attack. Brilliant. But when Ki is 20 or more, that's a bit no. You do employ the super excellent effect when Ki is 24, which again, no. It's great. It can be. And he does have additional keys put in there, which is really nice. But no, while you might not struggle with key between the Tech Ultimate Gohan, you don't strictly prioritize going for this. Yes, you can greatly raise on your 18 key, which is nice. But again, you only go for your 18 key. You don't go for 20 key, and you'll have less likely to go for 24 key. I mean, it depends if the ball goes out well for you. But often when I've used this guy alongside the others, I don't really get the chance to fully go for 24 key or even 20 key. So there's something to bear in mind. So yes, this guy is going to be outclassed. So he had his reign, he had his fun. It's about a year, and then now he's dropped off because Tech Ultimate Gohan's come out, and he's just going to slay everybody, which is it's going to be fun. It's hilarious. But yeah, so I can really see him being good. He still would be squishy. In particular, it's like his second rotation and his third. So we're talking like rotations 3 and 5 could be his weakest because, as I say, he does have this going for him for his first turn, which helps, allows him to get a few stacks in without being totally crushed. But remember, even in difficult content, you are gonna struggle. I mean, we're talking like against Vegito or Samasu. He's gonna wipe the floor with you. Then if you take him into the stage 4 against Black, the first phase is STR, and then it goes to Int. He's gonna crush you in the Int. You'd have to stack mega aggressively to get there. Sin, I've seen pictures of Sin, the last of the GT Shadow Dragon Red Zone one, and I've seen him with a million defense taking under 30k from a super attack, but he did have close to 1.3 million defense. So something tells me you've got unlucky and he's aggressively stacked, because otherwise you just wouldn't get that amount. But yeah, so he is good by most standards, right? And he is designed to take on the toughest content in the game, and they haven't really given him a weakness. And they've tried to, like this, for example, to buff his potential weakness to make him more usable. So I think altogether they've done a fantastic job. So it remains to be seen. I'll give him a test myself, but you can all tell me how you think he fares, especially like opening up on short haul fights. How is he going to fare? And you can let me know how well you like or dislike him. But anyway, this has been the end of this video. I've been a great person here doing this, and you've been a lovely audience if you even watch it. But yes, Tech Ultimate Gohan has his easy A. He's great. Get your 30 stones, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.